In this video, we're going to be talking about health and well-being and how we use data to create a health strategy within the business, how we can maximize the benefits and how we can provide the right education to employees. I'm going to take you through how we collect the data, how we analyze the data, what we do with it on a personal user level, and then what we do with it on a company level too. And hopefully you'll be able to get some insight into how valuable these tools can be. It's really important that before we get started, I give you some of the benefits of doing this as well. It has no operational disruption, meaning, there's no coming into the office, getting everybody into a room and doing seminars, etc. Everything is tailored. So no operational disruption is a fantastic way to, passively create a massive strategy and benefit people's health. Also, is very, very low cost. From only £1 a month per employee, this is a massive benefit. That's the same as what most employee assistance programs cost, and they don't engage with you, not in this way anyway. Another massive benefit is that this is all data driven. So that means that you've got something concrete that you can go off of to make decisions, to make a real impact. And a couple of other just massive benefits of this is that it's got national and international reach, being a digital product. So you can do this for multiple different offices that you might possess. It's 100% proactive. There's no waiting for people to get to wit's end or crumble or have a breakdown. It's proactive. We're seeking out and solving problems. And the final one, we have completely virtual and completely mobile services within our private healthcare section. So people can book these services and we can either go to home, office, or wherever they want to help them benefit their health. And all of that is claimable on their current benefits packages, meaning there's no impact on their financial well-being. So we're starting off by doing your health score questionnaire. Press start, enter your work email address so we know who you are, and then begin the questionnaire. It's all on a sliding scale between 4 and 20, 4 being really healthy or a no, and 20 being unhealthy or a yes. And throughout the questionnaire, we'll be assessing your physical health, your mental health, your financial well-being, and your social well-being. And then across all 4 of those, we'll aggregate the scores. As we work towards the end of the questionnaire, you'll start to see your overall scores. We also have a calorie intake calculator as well, which you can use to track your maintenance, surplus or deficit calories. And then you'll get your total health score. So 10.87 is the health score for this individual. They can then put that into their health score section on the app, and then they can set some goals around what to do in order to better their health score based on the previous section scores. You can see here where we've received the submission for the health check questionnaire, and you can see all of the answers are lining up, and we've got scores next to each one. We use scoring systems because it's easier to distinguish the severity of health, but we don't look at the in-depth part of people's health just yet, only on follow-ups and when we do private health services. This is because people's health data is protected and the company cannot see any of this either. So this is all sent to us, and we can see where this person, who obviously myself, has entered the different values on their questionnaire. And we can see that maybe they suffer from some upper back pain, lower back pain and knees. Their physical health score is a 7.31, meaning from 4 to 20, that's quite low, so that's pretty good, but they are still suffering from some pain. And what we'll do is look at how these questions have been scored, so we can see that actually when it comes to the mental health section here, the scores are getting quite high. And that means that there's need. So there is obviously high scoring for frequently bringing work home with me. I have a tendency to eat, talk, walk and drive faster than I need to. Do you feel there's not enough hours in each day? So this would indicate that the person is overworked, or they have high workload, or they are suffering with stress, because as we do get more and more stressed, we tend to do things faster, we tend to talk faster because we're trying to kind of almost relieve ourselves of that stress, which is very hard to do. So we can see this person is actually getting quite stressed. Experiencing mood swings and difficulty making decisions, and the concentration and memory impaired. This can be related to things like anxiety and also depression. So we can see as the scores get higher and higher that there is a need for support in that area. And what we would find
over this full questionnaire is the person's not had any suicide ideations, but they could also not be telling the truth when it comes to that, because it's a very serious question. But we can also see that they're highly stressed and highly anxious. So their mental health score, scoring quite high at 14, would indicate that there's some need there for some support. Now, what we can do is implement our mental health coaching service as a suggestion for this person, and then they could embark on the sessions with our mental health coach to understand their stress. But we could also look at this from the business point of view. If this person's overworked, then there's a systemic problem within the business of overworking employees. As we get more and more of these questionnaires through from staff, because of our high engagement levels with the questionnaire, we can actually see that, there is a big problem with workload across the board. So we can actually break down the percentages, which I'll show you soon. But the rest of the questionnaire, this person also suffers a little bit with a bit of lack of financial understanding, which could be detrimental in the long run and a big contributor to their anxiety and stress. And their social wellbeing score is fairly low to medium. Their overall health score is 10.87. At the end of each questionnaire, there is always this little paragraph we have here. If you wish to book a discovery call with us, then click the link and you can get a 30-minute consultation where we'll do a further discovery of your health score and your questionnaire, and we'll ask some more in-depth questions. So we've seen the personal health score questionnaire come through, but what we can actually do is, once we've collected the full company's health score questionnaires, here's an example of one that we've done previously. So all of the staff, 37 submissions, and the questions are along the top that you'd have seen on the health score questionnaire. And then we have the total scores for each region as well, so for physical, mental, financial and social well-being. And we can see how all these individual scores stack up. Now, what we're looking for is these bottom numbers here are the averages of the across the board for each question of the full company. What we're doing is we're looking for the higher numbers here across the board to see which questions have been answered in a certain way, obviously indicating that there's need there or that there's a lack of knowledge. And so, as you can see through the physical health section, people's physical activity level is generally quite low, and their understanding of exercise and diets is quite low as well. And that means that, well, of course, you wouldn't be doing as much activity if your understanding of activity and diets is low. So this, to us, shows that there's a need for some education around physical activity, exercise and diets. As we scroll across to the mental health section, which I know most companies would be interested in, is you can see that this tendency to eat, talk, walk and drive faster than they need to, not enough time in the day, frequently bringing work home with them. It tends to be a common theme across the board of this company. So what we can actually see is that as a culture, there is a culture of being overworked, and there's a culture of people taking work home with them. And this can then obviously be a big detriment to how people feel within the workplace and how they actually perform. So this is an area of need that we need to focus on. One, for individuals, but two, as a company. And that's where it starts to contribute from being just a health strategy, but also into that well-being side of the strategy. The well-being indicating how people feel when they walk through the door. These people obviously feel quite stressed. So that's what we need to look at, is how we manage that stress, but how we also consult with the business to make the working day a little bit more easier for these people. As we go across into financial well-being, this is very much down to the person, but also across the board the scores are quite high. That's indicating that there needs to be some education around the different things such as investment and pensions and levels of income and expenditure and tax. And this obviously, the lack of knowledge contributes to the anxiety and the stress, especially in the current economic climate. And then as we go across to social well-being, this company obviously has a good grasp on, what's reality and what isn't when it comes to social well-being. But we can also take from it what is our environment like as a outside of work, or even in the workplace as a culture. And you can also learn that from our other assessment in the Culture Hub on the app. As we can see at the bottom there, we've got these total scores, and then we can actually aggregate those and have a company health score. So this company's health score is 9.4, between 4 and 20. So that kind of places them around the middle mark, maybe just on the slightly healthier side, which is really good. Now, what we can also look at is across here, all of the questions that we know have flagged up the highest figures in terms of the data people's need. We can answer each of these questions in the way that we feel is appropriate. So we've got maybe workshops, training, clubs, cultural change, actual, consulting with the business, but also personal intervention. And that's what we can use to facilitate the different types of resources that we need within our wellbeing strategy. But also we can use this data to suggest where we need to maximise the use of the current benefits, whether that's using your EAP more or using your cash plan more to pay for the private services that we offer, and to really develop your health and well-being. So this is where the data comes in. Now we're going to look at where the data goes in terms of a wellbeing strategy and what that looks like. In front of us, what we've got is the report that we build, which discusses the data and then also pinpoints where the needs are and what we need to do in order to better the scores next time. So what we can see here is that overall there was a bigger need for financial wellbeing support than there was for physical and mental, but they still exist. Okay, we also discussed what the engagement rate was with the questionnaire as well, so how much people engaged with it and what we got back versus previous times. We can plot the company's health score here on the chart, and that's just for their starting point. As we do this every 3 months, we'll hopefully see this chart start to trend down, meaning that the health score is getting healthier and healthier. That's obviously the aim. Things do happen, so they can level off, go up and down. But what's important is that we use what we've collected to impact what we can see there. The company's health score sits at 9.4. And then obviously, as we've collected and answered the questions that we can see need support and attention, we can put forward content and topics and highlights and things that we need to do. And you can do different clubs, workshops, it could be educational driven. You can tailor this education. You can either put it into face-to-face content, or you could put it onto online, or it can all be held virtually. You've obviously got the usage of your current benefits package as well, which means that we can have people doing one-to-one sessions privately, using their cash plan to pay for it, so it's not impacting their financial well-being. And then you can also have us coming in as funded by the workplace. So this is obviously a massive list of different things that we can do to solve the kind of problems that we've got going in there, as well as the consultation with the companies in order to change how the culture operates. And that might mean implementing things like working from home, flexible hours, having more time off, adjusting the benefits package, these types of things, because they go hand in hand. And as you work through, once you've settled on what you can input it then into this calendar format of when you want your strategy to start, how much it's going to cost, and how many hours are going to be spent on it. And obviously, as a first draft, you will have everything in there. But as you go through time, you can strip things out and take it and change it. And that's the most important thing about the wellbeing strategies, because you're constantly testing every 3 months. You can see how things change. And that means that you might not need some certain topics and certain pieces of content done, or you might actually channel all of that back into a different part of the strategy. So you can see that over time, you're always testing, so then you're always developing something new, but also it's for the benefit of the wellbeing strategy overall. And then you reassess and go again. And that's how we're building this type of strategy out of the data that we're collecting. We're not just shooting in the dark, We're not just doing something as simple as one workshop and hoping for the best. It's not a monthly or yearly wellbeing talk. This is constant. It goes throughout the year.
So hopefully you can see from that how we collect the data, what we do with it on a personal basis, what we do with it on a company basis, and how it changes as time goes on. What we're always looking for is the development of the wellbeing strategy, because you can't just do one wellbeing strategy and then all of a sudden it's hunky-dory. Things change, health changes, people's health is changing all the time, whether that's for the better or for the worse, or whether the accidents come and happen, or whether something amazing happens and everybody's really on it. There's a lot of different moving parts in a wellbeing strategy. You have obviously everything that you need to do from a content and educational perspective, but there's also everything that the company needs to do as well to make it a nicer place to work. So this is cohesive. You've got to do it as amalgamated as one. It's not one or the other, but everything that we've collected there is from a £1 a month per employee benefit, and that also doubles up as a health management tool. So this has got massive reach and massive benefits to it for not just the individuals that use it, but for the company as well. And hopefully you've seen today through this method of showing you how things work, you can do it going forward for your company too. Thanks.